Well, good evening. Thanks for joining Your News Arizona. I'm Jonathan Alexander reporting. Tonight I have Daniel Butierez. He's running for United States Congress here with me. Good evening, Dan.
Evening there, Jonathan.
How's everything going out there in the Tucson area?
Well, right now it's raining pretty good.
Raining pretty good. Well, that's good for Arizona, buddy.
Yeah.
So, and tonight I have our special guest host with us, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
So, so this is one of Lisa's first broadcasts with us, and what better way to do it than with my good friend Daniel Butierez. So, Dan, you're running for United States Congress. Um, we have done a lot of work together on the borders. Been all around the Yuma sector, Tucson sector, and there's just so much that needs to be addressed on our borders as well. I love your stance on what you want to help get done for the borders. You want to tell our viewing audience exactly what your mission is going to be once you take office.
Well, for like the last 3 decades, our border has been run and operated by people that want to keep that border open. And as you know, Jonathan, there's a lot of drugs crossing that border that nobody does anything about. I've been trying to recall Sheriff Nanos here, who has been the sheriff for the last 6 years. And all during that time, not one arrest. And you and I both seen the video coverage of the drugs being brought across that border every day, same path. Doesn't it make you wonder why the sheriff didn't do anything?
100%, 100% agree with you. Look what's happened on the Chilton Ranch over the years. We covered Jim and Sue Chilton out there. We were actually down, covered their whole ranch for them, and the amount of cartel that was just trafficking drugs, human trafficking. I mean, you name it. Just the amount of fentanyl alone that was coming through the borders each and every day was enough to kill every last man, woman, and child here in America. That's hard to believe, Dan, when you're the viewing audience that's never been down on our borders. You know, that's one of the reasons why we dedicated our lives to taking senators, Congress people down to the border, even the average American people that wanted to make that trip to come witness it. By the time they got done with the border trip with us, they were in tears. Like, oh my God, we had no idea this was happening on our borders.
Well, you were with me when we took my dad down there. He was a Democrat when he started that trip, been a lifelong Democrat, 79 years old. And when he was done with that trip to the border, when he was done talking to all the migrants, and he as you remember, he spoke to quite a few of those migrants. When he was done with that, he was done with being a Democrat.
Well, I'll tell you what, your dad was the perfect translator for us. He did a lot of good work with us down there. And my hat's off to your dad. So if he's watching tonight, thank you so much for all you did for your news, Arizona as well.
Well, and here's what I'd like to know, let everybody know, because they're seeing the consequences right now. No matter where you are in the country right now, you're seeing the consequences of our open border and the drugs pouring across our border, because homelessness, which is the root cause of it, is the drug addiction, has spread like wildfire all across the United States.
Oh, hold on a second. Looks like we got Mike Grant calling in. And for our viewing audience, if you guys want to call in, dial 928-385-4738. Good evening, Mike. How are you doing?
Still alive.
Still alive. That's good. How you doing?
Well, just sitting here watching Dan getting ready to get my guns loaded up, ready to head to the border.
So
Hey, Mike, how you doing, buddy?
More guns, less crime.
Dan just asked, how you doing?
Well, been kind of busy. All the training. Been watching. I'm doing fine, Dan. I hope everything's okay
It is.
Well, I hope he's doing okay. He's looking fine.
Yeah. He says you're looking fine.
I know. Well, thank you.
So for those of you that don't know Mike Grant, he's a federal firearms instructor out of California, and he's been part of our team down on the borders many times as well. So anything going on out there in California right now, Mike?
Oh yeah, it's full circle of nuts running loose. You know, you just don't have enough bowls to pick them all up. You know, Swalwell's garbage that went on when he got caught. So they've got all the idiots running for his seat that are. I don't know if they're going to be any better. Probably not. But just the typical stuff going on. For me, the typical stuff going on in the gun industry, trying to keep everybody, you know, train people so they can carry a gun out here because of the crime and everything. And then, you know, the deal that went down in D.C. where they're after those five. Well, they got five locked up right now. These guys that were going to do the drone attacks and sniper shoot and stuff. We had two of those nuts that came out of the Southern California down there in Zombie Land down there, you know, by Barstow and that area. That's where they were out of. So that's a nut house down there.
Well, you know, Mike, there seems to be a lot coming out of the Barstow area as well. Not just them. There's been about 4 or 5 others that over the last couple of months that's they've taken down as well. So it kind of makes you wonder if there's not a group of them down there together.
Yep. No, it's not safe down there in that area. I've always said anything when you hit that 58, you hit that Bakersfield area or Bakersfield Barstow, and you go up towards Vegas. You know, I call it zombie land out there. So you ever break down in the dark, you don't stay by your car. You go out in the desert about 50 yards away from your vehicle because you'll end up in a hole right where Charles Manson probably planted some bodies.
Yeah. So now are you going down to the Sassabee, Arizona area where Dan's at? Down by the Tucson sector?
What?
Are you heading down to the Tucson sector down by the borders or?
No, actually, I'm going to go over the hill to Beatty, Nevada, and work some of those areas around the old mine sites and stuff. And then I'm going to head on down to Vegas to my condo for towards the end of the month of July. So I hadn't really planned on going down to Arizona until I find out what's, you know, after you guys went to the border and you closed it and wouldn't let anybody go down the wall there at Sassabee, I thought, well, it might not be that safe down there to, you know, go wandering around down there by yourself unless you're with a group. And
right.
During the summertime, there's not a lot of people down there running around at 115 degrees out there looking for desperados. There's probably not too many of them running around out there unless it's in the dark at night. So.
Well, I guess just crazy people might like me and Dan that would go down there in the summer.
Yeah, well, you guys live down there. You get that heat you're used to.
Yeah. So
how's Dan's election running? I haven't talked to him in a while. How's the deal running?
how's your deal running on your election, Dan?
Well, I don't have a primary, so I've been letting everybody else do their thing. I've been just trying to reach out to the community, be a part of the community. Been doing donations on my Facebook, trying to get people to donate to the campaign because this border isn't just our problem here. It's a problem across the United States. So, and I'm sure anybody watching from any other state knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I firsthand know, Dan. Yep. So, did you hear him, Mike?
Yeah, I hear him.
Okay, just making sure you can hear him. So, Dan, what's the first thing you want to do when you take office? What's your number one priority?
My number one priority is to address the drugs that are pouring across our southern border and have been pouring across it for decades because we haven't had anyone competent to address the border. We've had someone that's been in control of that border that has had a lot of political clout here in Arizona that's impacting the rest of the country. So I'm hoping that people get behind me and wake up, because this is when we got to do it right now. So.
Right. Well, that's part of the problem that we have. Adelita Grajava, she is not doing anything for Arizona. She's not doing anything to help stop the border crisis. One of the concerns I had, just to address it, Dan, my last mission down on the border, going through the border checkpoints and stuff, those were totally unmanned. And I'm talking coming in and going. So I recorded it live for the American people to see when I was headed there. And then sure enough, on my way back that later, it was still unmanned. Why would you think those borders would be unmanned right now?
Well, that right there where you and I were in Sassabee, that's wide open area. I mean, and that area borders the tribal land,
Right.
which is the Odom Nation, which has open borders. We have no control over those borders there because they're on the tribe. And the problem with that is that their land is also in Mexico.
Right.
You understand? So they have free reign to go back and forth, which is their right. But we need to get them to realize that these open borders and nobody supervising it and manning it is causing an impact to every city across the United States. And it's killing their own people. Their children are strung out on dope. It's killing a whole generation.
Yeah. And what Dan is saying here is 100% true. We've actually interviewed some of the tribal people. It's not the tribal people that's got the problem. It's their tribal council down there. They're the ones that don't want the wall. They're the ones that are welcoming the drug trafficking to the tribal lands. But as far as a lot of the tribe down there, the tribal people themselves, Dan, I have spoken to so many of them, and they want this drug trafficking, human trafficking to stop. I mean, when it's affecting their children are dying, their little girls are being raped.
They're not, and that's a big thing right there, and it's a problem I've got, is their women are being abducted,
right,
and nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. Well, I care, and I need other people to care. We have a chance and an opportunity to put an end to this right now.
Well, this is what you and I kept fighting for, buddy. We wanted to put a stop to this drug trafficking, women being raped. Because I don't care what nationality you are, folks. We're all human beings. Would you want that to be your child, your wife being raped, being given fentanyl, the drugs that's killing off your own people as well? Because you know what? When you say your own people, I want to clarify something. We're all people. There's no such thing as your own people, our people. We're all God's children at the end of the day. Well, it's time for people to act like it.
Well, here where we are in this fight and race that I'm in, okay, your viewers know I guarantee you they've heard about the sheriff in Pima County, Chris Nanos, the one that lost Nancy Guthrie or can't solve the case.
Right.
Everyone's heard her. The whole country knows he's not qualified to be in that position. But I think it's a bigger issue than that, because we have Sheriff Hathaway in Santa Cruz right next to Pima County. And those are two corrupt sheriffs that maintain control over that section of border. And it's not good. The only thing we have good is that we have Pinal County on one side and Cochise County on the other, and we have good sheriffs there. But Santa Cruz and Pima County, no, not the sheriffs are not trying to do anything about the drugs that are entering the state of Arizona through that port. And that's a fact. Johnathon can share you some of the footage. It's an absolute fact that they are not trying to stop the drugs.
They're not. Matter of fact, speaking of footage, Dan, you know what? I think I am going to share with the audience.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yes, Mike.
curious about if he's been anywhere down east in Nogales or west in Nogales to see if they're filling in those gaps. I was told that they're doing something out there, east out. I wouldn't say as far as Douglas, but are they completing and putting the wall, the panels up still? Or are they moving? Has anybody been down there to check it out?
I can answer that question for Dan. My resources inform me they are putting them in place. Is that correct, Dan?
Yep. And what you're probably hearing right now is they had groundbreaking in Douglas, and they're getting ready to expand the port of entry in Douglas, which is really good for Douglas because it's going to create jobs, and it's really good for the rest of the country because I believe last year we did $40 billion worth of business through the ports here in Arizona, which helps fund the country. The country makes a lot of money off these ports. Them expanding it is going to increase the profits that are coming into our country. So that's a good thing. And they got a lot of construction getting ready to ramp up in Douglas because they're beginning the port of entry there. And in Nogales, this is kind of a sad situation. I mean, it's good and bad, but they are going to knock down downtown Nogales, which is a historical part of Nogales, to expand the port of entry there.
Right.
So, it's got its pros and cons, but Nogales could use the jobs.
Yeah.
So,
well, and Nogales also needs to be protected with the wall as well. So I have to agree in that category. I'm not so sure if I agree with tearing down historic stuff. I think maybe they should try to find a way to go around it, but maybe that's not possible.
yeah. No, the wall runs right by those buildings, and to expand it, they're gonna have to take them down, and that's a sad situation. But it is going to create jobs. It is going to benefit Nogales and the rest.
Yeah, and the safety of Americans as well. Yes, Mike.
I'm going to go ahead and get off and watch you guys if you don't mind. And
I appreciate you calling in. Thank you, sir.
Yep. I'll talk to you.
Yep.
Dan, I'll call you on the phone sometime in the next week and see how you're doing.
All right, Mike.
All right.
We'll see you later.
Well, good hearing from you, Mike. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, for those of you guys that don't know Mike Grant, Mike has Guns Unlimited. He's a federal firearms instructor out of California. And just the work he's done with us and our team down on the borders has been amazing. And he's been taking the information that he has gathered when he's been with me on the borders back to California and presenting it before legislation and people that will actually see the truth of what's been happening on our southern borders. And again, my hat's off to Mike Grant, him as well as Daniel Butierez has put their life in harm's way, even going to the borders. Those borders are not safe. We don't recommend it to the viewing audience unless you have a highly trained team with you to be down on those borders. You have to agree with that, Dan?
Yep.
So, Dan, you are addressing also the homeless crisis there in Tucson.
Yep.
You want to tell the American people your plans for helping put a stop to the homeless crisis there?
All right. Well, the start of my plan is to secure up the border once and for all. We're never going to eliminate the drugs coming across. They're always going to come across because there's always a profit behind it. But we can slow down the amount.
100%.
Thin out the supply. And then I want to fund a program which I have put together. I spent years putting together a plan that will work. And I want to get funding to start a program to address the homeless here, ground zero, where the drugs are pouring in Tucson, which you've seen, Jonathan, how bad the homeless is in Tucson. The crime's out of control. The homelessness is out of control.
Just in the homeless camps we went to, Dan, and just
and they're publicly smoking this fentanyl right out with kids at the bus stop.
Yeah.
it needs to come to an end. So I want to fund a program and start a pilot program in Tucson.
Well, for people like Lisa, Dan, she's never been down to the borders. She's never been in those kind of scenarios. What could you say to a viewer, kind of like Lisa, that's never been to the borders to see the truth or to see the crisis that we have in like Tucson, even areas of Yuma are getting bad right now. So, what could you tell somebody like Lisa that's never experienced that?
Well, it's not as bad as it was a year ago. Well, actually, we're going on 2 years ago almost. It's not as bad as it was then. Back then, there were like a couple hundred coming across over here in Tucson every day. The drugs that were coming across, and there'd be 6-man teams. They were coming across in their camouflage jackets and backpacks that were made in a factory somewhere. They were all the same. They were all handmade, really heavy duty backpacks. Have been being left at my dad's property, which I did take you there, right, Jonathan? Or did we not make it to my dad's?
You went to your dad's property. That's where they had all the backpacks.
They leave all the empty backpacks at my dad's, which is beyond Mr. Chilton's ranch.
For their drug trafficking.
And that's where they would empty the drugs out in the backpacks. And my dad's property's cleaned it out twice. And it's just trash. There's backpacks everywhere because they don't need them after they get there. They take the drugs. Then they leave their carpet shoes, their backpacks. They get in whatever ride comes to pick them up. And they give them a ride to wherever they go. And as Jonathan said, there's a checkpoint between there and Tucson, and there's nobody there. So it's a clear path from where they've crossed the border, and it's 16 miles to my dad's property, which that's not a big deal for a healthy guy to make in a day.
Yeah.
They get picked up there, and then I don't know where the drugs go from there.
And they would do those journeys, Lisa, in the hot summertime, like from Sassody. They would go from Sassody up to even 3 Points, Arizona, and make drops. That's a 50-mile trip, nonstop. And these guys would run through the border they'd drink what they call liquid meth. They'd drink it, and they'd just keep on running on through the whole way. And just watching the footage from my cameras on the Chilton Ranch with the cartel and people, Dan, it's amazing how those guys can be fully loaded with backpacks, heavy gear, whatever, and still make that kind of a journey in those temperatures. The average person would drop over dead.
Yeah.
It's just
and just so you know, because you've never been there, out here in our desert, they have big old stacks with blue flags hanging from them, and it's where they have water stations all across the desert. So when these drug runners are coming through, they got a blue flag. They see it anywhere off in the distance, and they head over there to refill their canteens.
I showed Lisa that light on my front porch, that one that lights all night long. That's one of the lights that they use to light up those blue flags. That would tell the cartel where the water drops are, where the blue flags are. They'd have water drops, food supply there for them, so they could get whatever they needed and keep making their journey with the drugs, and as well as human trafficking.
Yeah. There's probably a question that some of the viewers may have, and I'm going to answer it right now. And the question I'm sure you all have is, how do you know they were drug runners? How do you know they were cartel? I'll give you a simple answer. Okay. We got temperatures up to 115 degrees. You're in the middle of a desert. It's 16 miles to where they drop off, where they get picked up, or in some cases 50 because they go all the way to 3 Points. Okay. No one's going to do that. No one was going to do it at this point in time because they didn't have to, unless they were doing something illegal. No one was going to risk their lives if they were doing something illegal. The reason that they didn't have to risk their lives unless they were doing something illegal, because all they had to do is cross the border, and the Border Patrol gives them a free ride to a shelter where they get fed, clothed, given cards so that they had money,
Cash cards.
Everything was taken care of. So why would you risk your life crossing the desert when if you were just coming over here for a job, you could wait for the border patrol that picked you up right there when you came across the wall and gave you a ride where you could have a free life.
Right. Hey, Dan,
Yeah.
why don't we add to your story? We're going to show the viewing audience exactly what we're talking about. This is from one of our trips on the border. You were with me and the team. So let's see if I can share the screen. Okay. Let's make sure it plays on your end, Dan. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Jim. He's gonna pull forward.
Can you see that okay, Dan?
So this is John.
No.
Reporting
You
live
can't.
on Live Border News.
Hold on. That's right. So give me one second. Yeah, it's playing. So give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, it's playing. There it is.
Right down, Jim. And this is a mass amount of illegals that have now crossed through the border today. And there's a whole big camp out here. Full of them.
I don't know why it's not playing on your guys' end, though. So hold on a second, Dan.
Need to make sure somebody tells the border patrol there's a bunch up that way out there. Those children will freeze.
Okay, so give me 1 second. For whatever reasons, that's not playing. So select tab to share. Oh, that's why. I see the problem. Okay. Sorry, guys. We'll retry that.
Okay, go ahead. Jim. He's gonna pull forward. He's gonna pull forward. All right. So this is Johnathon Alexander reporting live with Live Border News. So right down, Jim. And this is a mass amount of illegals that have now crossed through the border today. And there's a whole big camp out here. Full of them.
I'm not sure if that's sharing or not. Can you hear it, Dan?
I'm not seeing it. I remember it. It was the day we took my dad down there.
Yep.
And yeah, there were probably 100 migrants lined up there waiting to get on the vans.
Okay. Anyways, at the end of this broadcast, what I'll go ahead and do, I'll put a link to that and share it with you guys, so you guys can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, that was
Well, actually, it was showing. Sorry about that. Okay. But anyway.
yeah, that was a perfect example of why they wouldn't risk their lives to go across the desert unless they're doing something illegal.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing anything illegal, you might as well take the free ride.
Right. So those kind of people, what Dan's saying is it's a no-brainer, folks. Those guys would come through those big gaps in the wall, line up like they're going to Disneyland, and they'd be sent over to the Tucson Processing Center. They were given their cash cards, free medical. They'd be given an airline ticket to anywhere they said they were going in America. This is under the Biden administration. And this is not hearsay, folks. Go to homelandsecurity.gov. Take a look back in 2023, 2022 even. Look at what they were doing for these illegals. We even covered right there in Tucson. We covered, Dan, that was the
hotel.
The Comfort Inn Suite Hotel.
Yeah, where they kicked you out. They said you couldn't stay because you weren't an illegal.
That's right. So we went in and did a surprise visit on them. And I said, well, it looks like you guys are renting rooms to me. Your whole hotel's plumb full. But they had illegals from 160 different countries staying at the Comfort Inn Suites there in Tucson. So Comfort Inn, if you're listening, you're not going to be able to sue me for getting the facts out to America. We covered your story, by the way.
It doesn't matter. Andy Biggs went there shortly after you had gone there. Andy Biggs showed up and they threw rocks at him.
Yeah. Well, so yeah. So the point is, I mean, they actually threw me and the news team off the property. That's
Yep.
because they didn't like the fact that we were exposing it. So what the Comfort Inn and Suites were doing, they were closing it down to all Americans. Americans were not allowed to rent a room from the Comfort Inn and Suites. It was only for illegals. And why? Because they were getting paid between $500 to $1,000 a night per illegal. Now, if you add that up times 100 illegals, 200 illegals, that's a nice chunk of change per night. That's why they were doing it. It's all about the money.
And here's how bad it was here in Tucson. Okay, where the problem is. Again, I can't emphasize enough. We've got a problem here in Pima County and Santa Cruz. We need to get me in that office. We need to stop this. But motels, the Red Roof Inn was taking them in. Motels all across the city were taking them in because, like Johnathon said, they were getting paid big bucks to take these in. And then they were promised that the government would take care of any damage they did to their motels, which they wound up having to replace the plumbing in the Red Roof Inn, repair all the drywall in the Red Roof Inn. We paid for that, folks. We paid for that.
That came out of our taxpayer dollars. Yeah.
And then I took you to 2 migrant camps here in Tucson.
Yeah, that's right. Those migrant camps.
So,
and those kind of felt eerie, Dan. It's like you had to watch your surrounding constantly because you didn't know somebody's going to come out with a knife, a gun, whatever. I mean, that was not a safe area that we went into. And with you running for Congress, you probably shouldn't have had your butt down there. But my hat's off to you for doing it. But there's a lot of things we probably shouldn't have done that we've done. So
well, they wound up going into those migrant camps and finding drugs and weapons.
Yeah.
So I mean, what they were doing was disgusting, and they were doing that to the American people here. And I'm here in Tucson, folks. I know what's going on in my city. Okay. And I took Johnathon to all these places to show him what was going on in my city. So
yeah, he took me into all the camps in Tucson there, and they're god awful. Not to mention, how about that canal right there that goes underground right there, where they're walking right under there, homeless women, children. It didn't matter. Look, and then the cops that showed up that day ended up going under there.
yeah, well, here's the big thing. Americans are homeless in the streets, hooked on drugs, and people from other countries are being put up in motels, fed, clothed, given jobs. I mean, they're taking care of these people while our own citizens, and I know, again, you all see what I'm talking about in your own states and your own cities. Our homeless are forgotten, and the migrants are well taken care of.
Yeah, Lisa sees that here, Dan, right in Minneapolis, out here. I mean, look at the Veterans Administration and all the homeless veterans down there in Phoenix, where we reported on right there at the Capitol, right behind the Capitol, Lisa. And I've got the footage. I'll show you later. Nothing but homeless veteran camps right behind the Capitol as they're sitting there housing these illegals from 160 different countries and putting our veterans out on the street. They even took a veteran housing there, emptied the veterans out, and put the illegals in place. Wow. Why would you do that with men that fought and died for this country? How could this country stoop to that level, Dan?
I don't know, Jonathan. I don't know. But we're seeing a change in our country that isn't good at all. I mean, we're watching radicals win these primaries against their Democratic opponents. In some cases, moderate Democrats, people that would be good in office, are losing to these radicals that are going to be really bad for the country. And people keep voting for them. Why? Because everyone's running on this, we hate Trump. And you hate Trump more than you care about our country. And that's sad. That's sad. That's where we're at.
100% agree. Yeah. Because, folks, it's not about what side of the aisle you're on. What it's about is God, family, and country. And if you don't put God, family, and country first, and you're putting, oh my God, let's all hate on the Republicans, or oh my God, we're all going to hate on the Democrats. When's the last time, Dan, you seen the families that are Republican and Democrats sit down at a Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, able to have dinner in peace together, and not talking politics and bullshit?
I do it all the time, John.
I know you do.
I got to tell you, I got to share this one with you. It was Mexican Independence Day. We went it was the Raw Grijalva Youth Center, Community Center, and they were having a dinner there and a meal there. I walked through the front door like I owned the place. All Democrats, all Raw Grijalva supporters, and the whole room fell silent. It was so quiet in that room, I could hear everybody whispering, "That's Mr. Butierez. What's Mr. Butierez doing here?" And they were all whispering to each other. I walked into that room, and a couple ladies in the very back stood up and said, "Hello, Mr. Butierez," and I waved back to them. I got me a plate of dinner, and I sat down and with them all, and I started eating. And they were all like, wow, they just couldn't believe I just done this. And then I went and talked to people. I started visiting, and I had some ladies say, "Mr. Butierez, everybody loves you. They all love you, but you love Trump." And I said, "Who told you that?" And she said, "You don't?" I said, "Ma'am, let me tell you, I'm a Catholic. My loves are God, family, and country.
You got it.
Those are my loves. Those are all of my loves. So I don't love someone that I don't know, except Jesus Christ. But I actually know him. So
yeah, that's a good position to be in, ain't it?
yeah. So people need to realize that and start voting for people who love God, family, and country, because they're going to do right by you.
And people that are going to get the job done and get it done the right way. And that's what Dan's all about. He don't care what side of the aisle you're on. He's for the people. And that's where it should be for all politicians, which unfortunately it's not. But and that's one of the things, I think that's one of the reasons why we have grown such a friendship over the years, Dan. I think we believe in a lot of the same things, and because I've had my audience even go wild against me when I'm calling out Republicans. Like, excuse me, if they're in the wrong, they're in the wrong, and I'm gonna call them out every day of the week. And same thing with Democrats. I'll call them out every day of the week, because to me, we all got to find a way to agree to even disagree, or be able to sit down and talk about things in a civil manner, and find ways to address what really needs to be done to make this country a better place to live in. And sadly, we're not seeing either side of the aisle coming to the table together to work together. And I think you, my friend, can make that difference.
That's why I'm running. It's time to come back together, because we're not going to fix anything until we start talking to each other and listening to each other.
100% agree.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's what it's going to take, guys. So for all you guys out there, you're running in CD7, correct?
I'm running in CD7.
Yep.
And if you want to follow me, you can go to Butierez for Congress at either TikTok, Facebook, X. I'm on our Instagram. I'm Butierez. That's like Gutierrez, except with a B, for Congress. You can also go to my webpage, which is ButierezForCongress.org. And if you want, donate to my campaign, because it all starts right here, folks. It starts in CD7. If we're going to stop the drugs, If we're going to start addressing the homeless across this country, I'm the guy to do it. And if you read up on my story, you'll find out it's on my webpage. I have a hell of a story. So,
Yep, and Dan's an open book about everything, kind of like me. He doesn't hold back. Whether you love him or hate him, he's going to tell you like it is. Anything you'd like to ask Dan, Lisa?
come on, Lisa, don't be shy.
I'm new to this.
So she's sitting down with me on a few broadcasts. We're going to get her broke in the right way, Dan. And looking forward to you getting the chance to meet her, you and Paula.
All right.
We'll be back out there in late August, somewhere in that ballpark. And we'll all have to sit down and have a nice dinner together.
All right.
And, Dan, keep up the good work. We love you. Love what you stand for. Love the fact that you have been boots on the ground with me and my team as well. And again, folks, for this man to put his life in harm's way each and every day, doing the stories he does, even now you're still doing it, man. I've seen you, but you're in places probably a person running for Congress probably shouldn't be. But at the same time, you're not just a talker, you walk the walk. You get out there, you show the American people the truth, kind of like me, that's what I love about you. You show people the truth, whether they want to see it or not. You put it right there in front of their faces to where they can't ignore it because it's live feed. How are you going to dispute live feed, right?
Right.
And that's so, again, I appreciate you. I love you, my brother. And you know what? For all the others, you guys that want to say we're all racist and stuff, well, Daniel Butierez, you want to share your background, Dan, for your family? I think we just lost Dan. Dan's far from being racist. Daniel Butierez is Hispanic as well, and I love him like a brother. So hopefully we can get Dan back on. Actually, I believe his phone might have died, so I'm going to call him. Let's see. See if we can get him on the phone.
Sorry about that, Jonathan. Adam called while I was on this live.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, Dan, we're going to go ahead and get ready to end this broadcast. Appreciate you being on there. For those, again, for you guys out there, we need Dan. And there you are, Dan. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now? We lost your mic.
Again.
Okay, I'm going to call you, so stay right there. I'm calling you. We'll finish this broadcast through the speaker.
Okay, I can only hear you on your phone and you hung up.
Okay, that's fine. But anyways, we appreciate everything you do, Dan. Again, you guys can go to DanielButierezForCongress.com, right, Dan?
Yeah.
And
It's Butierezforcongress.org.
ButierezForCongress.org. Thanks for correcting me on that.
Yeah.
Again, folks, we need people like Dan in office. This is what it's going to take to help make change in Arizona. People keep saying, what's it going to take to change? Well, not by electing the same old politicians over and over that are not getting the job done. That's not addressing the homeless crisis. That's not addressing the drugs and fentanyl coming through our borders. It's going to take somebody like Dan. It's going to take somebody like Dan that loves this country and loves our state to get it done.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
My wife corrected me. She says it's ButierezForCongress.com.
So it is ButierezForCongress.com. What would you do? What would you do without the wife, Dan?
Well, she said she didn't. So it's either .org or .com.
That's all right. I'll make sure we get it posted after this broadcast, Dan. I'll pull it up online. I'll put it in the comments section for everybody.
All right, buddy.
And I appreciate you going by the Britton farm and telling them, that I love them and that I said hi. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, not a problem, buddy.
And we'll be in touch soon.
Okay.
All right, Dan. God bless you and your family. Appreciate all you do.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, guys, so we're getting ready to go ahead and end this broadcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I'm going to double check to make sure I don't have any comments out there. Gerald Abbott, keep up the great work. Thanks for tuning in, Gerald. Eva Mace, appreciate you watching in tonight. And just appreciate all you guys out there. Again, guys, this has got to be all about God, family, and country. Leave the politic bullshit out. Find a way to work together, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. We've got to come together in this country, folks. All this bickering and fighting is not getting this country healed the way it needs to be healed. And it's time for families to reunite and become strong again and work together. That's what it's about. At least that's what it is for me. And I think it should be for everybody, Lisa.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah. So, but other than that, folks, appreciate you guys tuning in. Tonight's broadcast is 7:30 Central Time. So I appreciate all of you guys tuning in tonight. God bless you. And we'll be back live again soon. So thanks for joining Your News Arizona. Thank you, everybody. Good night.